Tiffany, thank you for joining me today on Pop Culture Unplugged.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Exciting times. We have In Flight. Like I mentioned earlier, I spoke to Bo and Maria yesterday, and I don't know, I enjoyed this movie. I like the whole, you're watching, you got to pay attention, you got little Easter eggs, you got the big twist at the end. I don't want to give it away, but it's like I need to know what, like, when you were reading that script, what went through your mind?
I was just excited to get to play this character because I think like people watching it, you're kind of trying to figure out stuff as I was reading it, I was trying to figure it
Yeah.
out. So I think that people as they're watching it, they're trying to figure it out. And I hadn't gotten to play a role like this before. So that was something that was just so appealing to me because there is the fun side of it where it's like, not only am I thinking as myself, Tiffany, like, what does the audience know? What don't they know? But I also have to think,
Mm,
Claire know? What doesn't she
yeah.
know? And then balancing all of that and all of us on set making sure that like, well, she wouldn't know this, so we need to make sure she doesn't do this. So that part was really fun and interesting, just a whole new thing to keep track of while you're filming.
You mentioned Claire, she goes through a lot in this film. How did you connect with this character, given, her recent like personal challenges and a big decision to travel alone?
Yeah. I mean, I think that almost any character that I play that I've been lucky enough to play, there's always something that's kind of like the entry point of like, oh, this is similar to me. And then obviously you build on that.
Mhm.
For Claire, it was, I am super studious. I'm type A when it comes to my work, where it's like I will do all the things I need to do. Um, Trying to shut my brain off from that and go on a vacation is something that's really hard to do because
Yeah.
especially in this industry you feel like you always need to be doing something, you always need to be working. So that was a big piece of this character that I could really connect with because I need to force myself sometimes, though I love being on vacation, I love traveling, I get to do it for work sometimes, so that kind of helps. But
Right.
it's definitely something where I'm like, I have to be like, shut off your work brain, Tiffany, it's okay. So that was kind of the entry point with Claire for me.
Mm. It's kind of an emotional journey for her too throughout this film. Like, what did you find like most compelling about this journey and Claire?
Yeah, I think what was so cool about it for me as an actor was that usually you do a movie and you don't get to act with every single person, or a TV
Mm,
series and you don't get to act with everybody. But for this project in particular, I pretty much got to have a scene with everyone that's a
yeah.
part of the movie, which was really cool. Because you could kind of, how does this person work? How does this person work? What do they bring to the table? Is that something I could use for the next project I do? So that part of it was really appealing and fun to get to have that, intense scene work with people.
Mm,
Um, and the character, like I said, there's a lot of her that I'm similar to, but then there's other pieces where, she is an incredible badass. She puts herself in this crazy situation and when she gets pushed up against the wall, she fights back. And I hope that I would be like that if I was in this situation.
right.
So I kind of look at Claire as like the inspiration version of me if I were ever to be in that situation, which hopefully never ever happens.
Right. You mentioned the word intense also. There's some intense scenes on the plane. How did you perform like those scenes, especially when you gotta play like like disorienting, like she's out of it, she doesn't really know what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, what was interesting about this one is usually when you're on a set, you can kind of get away, step off, and then come back onto set. But because we were
Yeah.
filming on the airplane set, it was a lot harder to get time away from the rest of the cast for me,
Mm.
particularly. So that was something that I really had to figure out for myself, where it was like to tell everybody, like, hey, I might need to be quiet for this moment because I love talking to people and I wanted to like chat with everybody. So there were a couple days where I was like, hey, like, or in this scene, like, I'm gonna be a little quieter. So just so you guys know, so because we're doing this next big intense scene. Um, and what's great is when you're working with actors, they totally get it. Because there did need to be somewhat of a disconnect between Claire and everyone else on the plane, but all of them
Mm.
kind of have some time to get to know each other. So that was something where even though I was building these awesome friendships with people in real life, that I had to be like, okay, I need to like separate for a little bit just so that way we can get through this scene.
Mm.
And there was one scene in particular where when I get really like emotional, I get really hot. The airplane itself was really hot. I was getting really hot, and I was like, I had to like hop out the back door of the plane and like fan myself to get ready again because I was like, not only am I stressed, am I doing the performance that I need to get, but also I'm like, did I just sweat through my shirt?
That's awesome. That would be me because I like traveling, but when you're on a plane for like 8 hours, you're kind of like, all right, I need to get off.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how I feel. Without giving out too much away, how would you describe the relationship or even the chemistry between Marco and Claire?
So what was really great is Bo, Christo, and Kelsey, who plays the best friend in this one. I'd
Yeah.
worked with all of them on a short film right before this called The Power Within. So I got
Okay.
to spend some time with Christo on that one. We did not get to do like scenes together like we get to do in this one. But it was so much fun working with him because obviously everyone knows him from Ted Lasso. And his character is just so warm and charismatic and sweet and kind on
Yeah.
that show. And all I will say in this one is we get to see a
Totally
little
opposite.
different side of him. um,
Yeah.
and so it was something that I love to see because, for me, I'm pretty bright. I think I'm pretty bright and shiny in life and happy and optimistic, but I love playing things that are different than that on screen.
Mm.
And so it was fun to get to work with somebody who is similar to that, where it's like off camera, like we were making jokes and, having fun and chatting and stuff. And then we get to the scenes and we could just drop in really easily, which was really cool.
Do you have a favorite moment filming this or anything that stands out the most?
Gosh, a favorite moment. I mean, it wasn't necessarily anything that we filmed, but on the last day when we had most of the cast there, we all piled into the plane and took a group photo with the
Yeah.
cast and the crew and everyone and did the selfie kind of shot. And that's something that definitely will stick with me because we filmed this leading up to like we finished 2 days before the SAG strike started.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so it was something that I was really lucky to get to be doing it. It had been written, so it was all set. But it was something that kind of helped carry me through the strike, where I
Mm.
could just kind of remember how enjoyable that moment was and remember what I love about acting so much. And that helped a ton. So that I think is having everyone together and having that energy and that being like a memory that I could kind of feed off of during the strike was really special.
How was it working with Bo? I spoke to her yesterday. She was this one of her first films as a director.
Yeah, this is her first
Yeah.
feature as a director,
Yeah.
and she is amazing. Like, she is just one of the most calm, cool, and collected humans I've ever met in my life. There could be like a disaster going on right over here, but like when she's talking to you, she's like, "So what's going on?" You
Mm.
never would have any idea that anything crazy is going on. And she knows what she wants, and I think as a director, for an actor, that's something that's so important because being an actor, you can only do so much. You're not seeing yourself perform. You guess how you look, you guess how it's going to come across on camera, but
Yeah.
trusting the director to know that they're going to guide you where you need to go is the most important part. I think a lot of times where you're just like, you have to have that trust and that connection with them. And like I said, because we did the short film together before, we already had a kind of rapport. And so
Yeah.
this just built it up even more.
Mm. I asked her this yesterday. I'm gonna ask you the same question. I asked her, could you see a continuation of this movie or a different story to it? She's all for it. Would you jump back in if you could?
Abso-freaking-lutely, I would. I had
Yeah.
such a great time filming in flight, and you know, it's something where like I aspire to get to keep working with my friends on every project
Yeah.
that I do, and I feel lucky enough that that's kind of been the case so far. So, getting to go back and find out where Claire is at the end of In Flight and take
Right.
this other direction or new direction
Mm.
would be so much fun.
Amazing. Last question. What are you hoping for the viewers when they tune in? What are you hoping they get out of this film?
I hope that they feel stressed out and want to figure it out and feel all
Yeah.
those feelings that you feel when you're watching a thriller. I hope that they feel connected to Claire and are trying to figure out all the pieces along with her as she goes along
Mm.
in this journey on In Flight.
Amazing. Tiffany, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes today. Good luck with the film. I think it's November 15th, if I'm correct.
Yep, November 15th. You can pre-order it now though on Apple. And if you're in the LA area, we're doing in theaters at Glendale.
Amazing. Tiffany, thank you again. This was great.
Thanks so much for having me.